What are some notable success stories or impactful projects that eco-schools have been involved in?
So the Eco-Schools programme was launched in response to the Rio Earth Summit, which happened in 1992, and that was a point where the global realisation around the need for sustainable development targets was really set, and as part of that, the critical role of education started being talked about. Up until then, there was a lot of environmental education, outdoor learning, conservation education, and at that point it really was about what kind of education is needed to ensure sustainable development can happen. And so therefore there was the birth really of Education for Sustainable Development, or what we call ESD, happened. And so Agenda 21 was created at that point. That was where there was sort of movements set up, and civil society got involved. And the Foundation for Environmental Education in Europe, which was FEE with an extra E, at that point devised the Eco-Schools programme with its 7-step framework, which was set up in order to try to support the integration of sustainable development and environmental education into schools, into education systems. And it was launched with just 4 European countries, supported by the EU at that point in 1994, but it very, very quickly grew. The 7-step framework turned out to be very adaptable to very many different types of contexts. In 2006, it was launched in Morocco, in 2003 before that in South Africa and Kenya. It now exists in over 75 countries around the world, run in over 50,000 schools. So you can imagine many, many different types of education system, many different types of contexts and schools facing different sorts of challenges. Are able to work on the 7-step framework, so at which actually over 30 years since establishing the programme really hasn't changed very much. Different steps have been maybe communicated in different ways as we've understood the importance of intergenerational learning, for example, of involving communities, of Indigenous knowledge and how that can be integrated into education and its benefits for the environment, in particular of how environmental sustainable development themes and climate change should be integrated throughout the curriculum in an interdisciplinary way. We still use the Eco-School 7 steps to do that, and we still find that they have benefit, they still work today. So as I mentioned, 30 years, this year is actually our 30th anniversary, and that comes at a really critical juncture because it comes right at the moment that the global community has really started to take note of the value of programmes such as Eco-Schools in helping to address some of the critical challenges that we know are happening in education today, and create some of those transformative effects that we know are needed now. So the Greening Education Partnership was launched in 2023 by the UN Secretary General at the Transforming Education Summit, and that Greening Education Partnership, or JEP, has some ambitious targets which aim to mainstream ESD through education systems, using the knowledge and practices within programmes such as Eco-Schools to do that. So one of the targets under the Greening Schools pillar of JEP is to achieve 50% of accreditation to all schools with a Green Schools programme, and we are co-coordinating that part of the JEP for UNESCO alongside the World Food Programme and the Aga Khan Foundation, and all of our resources are now going into supporting our members to expand their programmes, to develop new partnerships, to work with other similar programs. And that's the countries, 75 countries where we're currently working, and also our aim is to work with new countries. So we're trying to work out how can we expand our programs into new countries in order to help meet those global targets for GEP.